Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is the second class of the Sabbath, the Steward class. What I want to do is give you some information. Okay, if you have any additional information, please do so. Or for the viewers, if you have any additional information, please do so. But I want to go into some information concerning Afghanistan and prophecy. Okay, that's what we're going to deal with in this class. It's not going to be a long class though. Just give you a little history on Afghanistan, give you a little history on the nations that tried to invade Afghanistan and wasn't really successful. You see, America just pulled out, right? But that was going back to a decree that Trump made with them. And a reporter was interviewing one of the Taliban leaders, and he was saying that the people are believing what the Western world is putting out. You know, how they doing the women and so forth, killing the people. Right. He said that's what the Western world is pushing. And also, the leader of the Taliban said that Donald Trump had made a decree, and they said they expect Biden to uphold that decree. And that decree was for the USA to depart from Afghanistan. So all that was a decree from the Trump era. Okay, because you know the Taliban, you know them cats will start shooting missiles at the airplanes and so forth. The Americans say, hey, as long as you don't blow us down, as long as you don't shoot us down, we honor that decree. So that's what was going on, and you're going to find out that there's a lot of darkness going on with these leaders, with these presidents, political leaders. The whole world is under the wine, and they drunk off the wine of America. I don't care what government you in, what country you in, your leadership is under Satan regardless. If it's not under the God of Israel, it's under Satan. Okay, let's go from Isaiah, let's go to Isaiah the 29th chapter, and let's start from the 15th verse.
Reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 15.
Come on.
Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Most High, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who sees us, and who knows us?
And their works are in the dark, and the scripture saying, they say, who seeth us, and who really know us? Okay, who know these nations? Who know these leaders, man? That they are under the influence of Satan. They're under the influence of those frogs in Revelation, I believe the 16th chapter, when it speaks about the demonic forces in the representation of frogs. Okay, to get these leaders into the battle of Armageddon. So they're dealing with demonic powers and demonic influence. Okay, and what you see in the world today is all demonic influence. And all these leaders is under that, man. You can't trust not one of them. Okay, best to trust the God of Israel, the Most High. Okay, that's who our trust is in, and that's who the trust should be. Okay, now when you look at Afghanistan, when you look at that area, that land is called, you know, when I was reading some reports on it, it is called the graveyard of all empires, because all empires go into Afghanistan, and some of them pull out or don't make it out. America spent, what, 20 years in Afghanistan. 2,300 American soldiers were killed. A lot of people were killed when America invaded Afghanistan, and trillions of dollars was spent. But for what? What did they accomplish? Okay, so you had the British attempted 3 invasions of Afghanistan. Okay, and they retreated from Kabul. Kabul is the capital of Afghanistan.
Right.
They retreated from Kabul, I'll give you a year, in 1842. Okay? And the Soviet Union, they was there from what, 1979 to 1989.
Right.
And they withdrew from Afghanistan in 1989. And if you look at it under the table, America was supporting Afghanistan.
Right.
See, they going back and forth. Now, since America is out of Afghanistan, now you got China and Russia stepping up now. See, because who controlled that area, okay, they pretty much controlled that power around in Central Asia, around in that area. Because if you control Afghanistan, you controlling the uranium, the minerals, and so forth. Okay, you control that area. And then later on in this class, we're going to go into the pipelines. The pipelines that nations is involved in as well, including America. A pipeline that would run through Afghanistan. We're going to get into that a little bit later though. Okay, so that's a part of what a lot of these wars was about.
Right.
The oil, gas, and this pipeline.
Right.
Okay, and a lot of these soldiers was being killed for that. And another thing, if you notice, Afghanistan is where most of the heroin is coming from. The heroin, hash, opium. See, the battle is over there too, because nations want the heroin, the opium, you know, for their medical and so forth.
Right.
Okay, they want that as well.
Right.
China, Russia, America.
Right.
See, and you see our brothers out there in the streets of all, majority of all ghettos, nodding.
Right. Right. Right.
Where they getting that heroin from? Coming out of Afghanistan. Okay, the poppy plant. Yeah. Okay, about 90%, all the heroin, drugs is coming from Afghanistan. That's it, yeah. So the Soviet Union from 1979 to 1989, they withdrew from Afghanistan in 1989. And also, like I spoke about, America spent 20 years in the country. Like I said, it cost about 2,300 lives lost, American lives lost. And more than $2 trillion spent. Now, when you go into the history, you have China. China had invaded Afghanistan. And they was controlling it for a minute. This was the China's Tang dynasty. Write that down. The Tang dynasty ruled from 618, this is AD, 618 to 907. Okay? And what I was reading, it read that after the Tang conquered the Western Turks in 659 AD, the Turk king became a vassal of the land of modern-day Afghanistan. Okay, and he became part of the territory of Tang China, the Tang dynasty. Okay, now the Tang dynasty lost control of the Afghan region after its defeat in the Battle of Talas. Write that down, T-A-L-A-S, the Battle of Talas. And this battle was over the region of Central Asia. Okay, the Battle of Talas, which was in 751 AD. Okay, now and this battle was with the Abbasid Caliphate dynasty. The Abbasid Caliphate dynasty. This was in 751 AD. Okay, and the Tang dynasty, they lost Afghanistan in this battle, the Battle of Talas in 751 AD with the Abbasid Caliphate dynasty. Okay, they was battling over the region of Central Asia. Okay, so by the Tang dynasty of China, by them losing the dominance, they lost the dominant influence, which led to what? The invasion of all other external forces into Afghanistan. Okay, you know, just to give you a little bit, showing you that the nations, all superpowers, try to invade Afghanistan. They there for a minute, but they unsuccessful because of the Taliban. Taliban, y'all know what Taliban mean?
No. No.
It means student.
What?
Taliban means student. Student. It can be a student of Allah. It can be a student of their law. It means student. Because they was at war with another group, the Mujahideen, or the Mujahideen, which some of them broke off into the Taliban. Okay, because they was having like internal warfare. Now the Mujahideen was the group that was being supplied by America. Right. See? So America got his hand up under the table, Russia got his hand up under the table, China got his hand up under the table. That's why we read Isaiah 25 and 15, that their works are in the dark. Right. See, America was doing a lot of things without the other international nations knowing about. And China too. We're going to read some of the things that China was doing, supplying what they call the terrorist groups with monies and weapons and so forth. Yeah, China. Okay, so from here, from the Battle of Talas in 751 AD with the Abbasid Caliphate dynasty, afterwards you had the Lashan rebellion, the Anulushan, the Lashan rebellion, which broke out in 755 to 763. Anulushan, the Lashan rebellion. Okay, and that name came from a general of the Tang dynasty, which, from me reading, it was said that he instigated this rebellion. It's called the Lashan rebellion, or the Lashan rebellion, which broke out in 755 AD. Okay, and this was like, this general, this name came from this general. Like I said, he instigated this rebellion, and the Tang dynasty, from that, they was never able to restore its control of the Afghan region again. And like as we sit today, you had many nations going into Afghan, and they running them up out of there. Okay, because regardless of the different groups, Taliban, Mujahideen, and the Haqqani, there's another, the Haqqani, the Haqqani network, that's another group. They all believe in their law. Right. See, it's going to be hard to get them to go against their law. Right. See, you can see America can probably show Saudi Arabia some money. Mm-hmm. They can kind of pay Turkey off, but these guys believe in that one law, and they looking at how they treating the people, they treating the women and so forth. Right. You know, like when America came, they allowed certain things. So when the Taliban took over, they stopped certain things. They even stopped the opium and the hash. The Taliban did, like when they first took over. Right. So if you look at some of their law concerning women, you ought to look at the Most High's law. See, you'll make Israelites, you make the world, oh, the Taliban, they this and that, they hard on women, they hard on the people, but you ought to read some of the Most High's law. Right. How strict the Most High is. Right. Right. See, because we've been too much westernized. Right. Look at the strictness of the Most High's law about his Sabbath, about how a woman should dress, how a woman should act, how a wife should act. Okay, the Taliban said, no, you can't come out in society in public alone, uncovered. Woman came out, they took her, they judged her, they executed her right there. That's law. what you think the Most High law gonna do? Once it's implemented and once that warning been given, okay, it's going to be this or that, life or death. You're either going to be hot or cold. You lukewarm, Most High's not going to deal with you anyway.
Right.
See, so their laws are strict, the Most High's laws are strict. It governs and show you how a man's supposed to be. If a man is feminine, and he like that old gay word, that gay mentality, you got to take him out.
Right.
You break the Sabbath, you got to be taken out. That's the strictness of God's law, the strictness of the Most High's law. And then the Taliban, they have regular public people that's carrying out the law. They believe in their law. That's executing people. It's not just the Taliban, they're just regular people. You remember when the reporter came there in Kabul, and the guy told her, cover your face. Did y'all see that? Y'all remember that, right?
Yeah.
So this is just a regular guy. It wasn't a Taliban, this is a regular guy in public. Look, you cover your face. Yeah. So you think their laws are strict? Wait until you get a hold of the Most High's laws. When we're set up as a nation again. But our people and the world, they're going to love the Most High's law because they're going to begin to understand the system of the Most High, how it works, how it can provide for them as well. See, for us on a spiritual level. And then they're going to see the blessings of the Most High's law and the Most High's strictness, right? So let's go into this a little bit more. So the Tang dynasty, after the Unlishun rebellion broke out, they was never able to restore its control in Afghanistan region again. It said with the Abbasid Caliphate expanding its influence in Central Asia, the region gradually became Islamatized. See, Islam. See, because the Abbasid Caliphate took it over, defeated the Tang dynasty. So like the Islam was beginning to be pushed in that area, okay? And it's strong in that area even until today, okay? Now, we read the heart of the world's continental islands is Afghanistan. Continental islands are like lands that's, how can I say, lands surrounded by water.
Right.
And the heart of those lands, the continental islands, is Afghanistan. And then you sit back and wonder, okay, we look at Israel, okay, we know that that's the Most High's land, but you look at Afghanistan, who controls that area controls the power. If just say if China can influence, if their influence can be in Afghanistan, then they have sort of power there.
Yeah.
See, their influence. It's Afghanistan. If you can control that area, then you have that power of the world, really. Because Afghanistan is what superpowers and nations want. That's what they're trying to get. Okay? Now, so it say the heart of the world's continental islands is Afghanistan. That means that whoever controls Afghanistan will have the dominant influence in the world's continental islands. Okay? Now, it also reads, if China wishes to pursue dominance, it would need to secure its influence in Afghanistan. And that's why Afghanistan has become the main battlefield of modern world powers. Afghanistan. Okay, now let's look into China now. China have ties, or had ties, or have ties to the Taliban. It goes all the way back to the time that the Taliban was in power from 1996 to 2001. Okay? China supplied the Taliban with weapons, and they even helped the Taliban after 9/11. That's China. Okay? They was unnoticed under the table doing these things. Okay? And it also said that Chinese officials have been working with they said a terrorist H.O.D.C network, the H.O.D.C, which the H.O.D.C is inside Afghanistan, but it's a break off of the Taliban. It's a father and a son by the name of H.O.D.C. It's a father and a son established this H.O.D.C network, and China is supporting them, supporting them. Okay, and it also, China has provided support for Pakistan terrorism in India. So China is doing a lot of unnoticed work, like America was, like Russia was. Okay, and I'm gonna go into a little something where Russia and China. I was reading something where Putin mentioned to the Chinese government, if we can become one, we can rule, we can be the superpower and rule the world. There was Russia and China. Okay, so now China doing all this on the table work, but the foreign minister of China is blaming Washington as the origin of the problems in Afghanistan. Why are they doing all this on the table stuff? Okay, their problem too. You know, they show you that the works of all these nations is in darkness, and the Most High is going to uncover and reveal the dirt of all these nations. You can't trust nothing and none of it. You can't trust the vaccine. You can't trust anything. Some of the news is BS. You can't trust nothing that society puts out, man. You just got to rely on the Most High. Okay? You can't trust too much anything, because all nations is under the vibration of Satan. I don't care if you calling God Allah or your God Buddha. If it's not the God of Israel, it's under the vibration of Satan. Now let's go into the scriptures. Let's go to Revelation 18:3. Like I said, the class is not going to be long. Revelation 18:3. When you get it, call it out and read it.
Reading from the book of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 3.
Come on.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
This talking about Babylon, which is America. Read on.
And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
Right.
And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
Through the abundance of whose delicacy? America. Let's go to Jeremiah 51:7. The book of Jeremiah 51:7.
Reading from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 7.
Right.
Babylon have been a golden cup in the Most High's hand,
That's America, Babylon. Read on.
that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine.
Yeah, they taken from America. America's influences everywhere. All the dirt, wickedness that America is doing, the nation is doing the same thing. Okay, read on.
Therefore, the nations are mad.
And all of them copying America is mad. All of them that's doing following all of those satanic mess and ruling and all the negative decrees, they are mad from drinking the wine and the works of Satan and the works of America as well. Now, all the rulers of these different nations is wicked, man. All of them, the same plan, the same program with this vaccination, this pandemic and so forth is everywhere. All governments, it's like they down with this thing. So they are mad and committing fornication with who? Who's running the world? Okay. Now let's jump back into some of these reports. We're gonna read some more. The world's major powers, they understood the important strategic position of Afghanistan in terms of its geographic significance and its resources. So all nations understand that. Okay, it said for this reason, Afghanistan was always frequently invaded because its strategic position and its geographic significance for us, the minerals, its resources, and so forth. Okay. It also reads that America intervened in Afghanistan and they backed the Mujahideen, which we spoke about earlier. They was funding them with weaponry, finance, and everything. Okay, but a lot of them, the Mujahideen, went with Taliban. Okay, and the Mujahideen was the one that was fighting to expel the Soviet Union in 1979 because the Soviets had occupied Kabul, and America backed the Islamic resistance. And the CIA would provide the Mujahideen with an estimated $3 billion in weapons. $3 billion to fight against the Soviet. And then the Soviet turned around and armed them as well. China turned around and armed them as well. So it's like when you read in the scriptures, when you read about the Assyrian Empire. The Assyrian Empire battled the Egyptians, Babylon. You had the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Egyptians. Then you had Israel, you had Syria, you had these other nations, right? So they was going back and forth. An alliance with Egypt, then Egypt making an alliance with this nation, and then you have Israel making an alliance with Egypt, making an alliance with this nation, you know, for its help.
Right.
You know, and a lot of time resources, because you got to give up something. If I'm going to merge with you and help you battle and fight this nation, you got to give me something.
Right.
You got to give me a piece of land. You got to give me some of these minerals. You got to give me some resources.
Right.
Okay, if we're going to be allied together. Okay, so now let's read some more. It said the CIA allowed in Afghanistan, they continue to allow the drug traffic, the heroin, the hash, the opium. Okay, they continue to allow that to go on. They didn't intervene with that, because you got the Mujahideen, which is the Islamic guerrillas, which mean that they engage in jihad. Jihad means fighting on the behalf of God, fighting on the behalf of God.
Right.
They are Islamic guerrillas. Okay? Now, the CIA and the Pakistan, they are players in the opium traffic. You know, the Pakistan got a secret service called the Inter-Service Intelligence Agency, ISIA. Y'all heard of them?
Right.
The Inter-Service Intelligence Agency. Okay, and it also reads China and Russia formed the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They formed that to challenge the growing U.S. presence in Asia. And Afghanistan is the key to the Western domination in Asia. Western domination in Asia. Afghanistan is the key. Wow. So you got China and Russia formed the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Okay? Now, let's go to 1 Kings real quick. First Kings, the 11th chapter. And let's start from the 14th verse. We're going to read from the 14th verse all the way to the 24th verse.
Reading from the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 14. And the Most High stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom.
Now, why was the Most High stirring up enemies, stirring up adversaries to come against Solomon? Remember, throughout Solomon's rule, Solomon's name means peace. But throughout his rule, there were no wars, there were no battles.
Right.
Okay, because he had married almost all the king's daughters, right? so do you know he had 1,000 wives, 700 wives and 300 concubines.
Right.
So he was connected with all these kings,
Right.
kings of Edom, kings of Egypt, kings of Ammon, you know, all these different women he had
Right.
from different nations. So there was peace during his rule. So in the 14th verse, it said, and the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. So why would the Most High send this enemy, send this Edomite to attack Solomon? Why did the Most High turn the tables? Why did he do that? Give me some hands. You kept having your hand up. Okay, can you answer that question? Come on, Yaikwad. Huh? Come on, Yaikwad.
Solomon was messing with the Edom ladies. That's why.
Okay, so when he had all these wives, did the Most High check him then? It's in the law. The law said that a king, he should multiply wives and so forth. Remember when King Saul became the first king of Israel, there was a law that the Most High gave to the kings, how the kings shall govern the people. One of the laws said he shouldn't multiply horses and he shouldn't multiply wives. But Solomon had 700 and 300 concubines, 700 wives and 300 concubines. So did the Most High come at Solomon because of the wives? So my question is, why is the Edomite, and it's going to be other nations coming up against King Solomon as an enemy? Why did the Most High allow that? You said because he was messing with these other women. But he had those women in his rulership. While he was ruling, the Most High didn't come against him then. So what happened? Something else happened for the Most High to get angry and come against Solomon. Come on, Bart. Speak up a little louder. He started following his wives, bowing down to his wives' gods. See, the Most High gave him a pass on having these women, but the Most High also said in the law, don't you go after these women of the other nations because they're going to turn you away from following me.
Right.
So that happened to King Solomon. And then the Most High got upset and he sent King Solomon enemies against him because he started bowing down to his wife's gods. See, that's why the kingdom was broken up. Northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. That's why the Most High sent Jeroboam of the northern kingdom from the tribe of Ephraim against Solomon. See, that was the beginning of this split because of what Solomon did. You got it? You got it, Yaikwad? Okay, read that 14th verse again.
Read for the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 14. And the Most High stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed.
Continue.
In Edom. Verse 15. For it came to pass, when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom.
Okay, so Hadad the Edomite is looking at this, well, David is dead, Joab is not around, so now Solomon, you know, he know the power of Solomon is being broken. It's being taken away now. It's being diminished. So now it's my time. And the reason why he's coming up against Solomon is what we just read in the 15th verse. Because Joab, the captain of the host, he had smitten every male in Edom. Therefore, the Israelites took some of their land, took their resources. Okay? So, therefore, Hadad want his father's land back. He want the resources back. See? He want revenge now. He want what was taken from him now.
Right.
So this is an opportunity to do that because he was a hostage. He fled to Egypt. And the Egyptians took care of him. But now he heard, okay, David is not there. Solomon is there. Let me rise up now. Let me build me an army and let me go back and recover these resources from the land that my fathers once had. Because I don't have to deal with David. I don't have to deal with Joab and Abishai and all these warriors, Benaniah and all these cats. I don't have to deal with them, cherubims and all these guys. Not the cherubims, the Kerethites and the Pelethites. Okay, continue to read.
Verse 16. For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom.
So 6 months Joab remained in Edom, destroyed. He remained there, what? Taking land, resources, and killing. 6 months. Read on.
Verse 17. The Hadad fled.
See, the Hadad fled. Read.
He and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child.
Okay, it said Hadad fled. When Joab was in Edom destroying, he got away. Because remember when America in 2001, when they hit Afghanistan, the Taliban leader got away. I think he went into Pakistan, if I'm not mistaken. So when countries invade, or when America invade countries, the leaders flee. They go into exile. What's this brother from, what's this guy from Uganda? Way back, a leader. Idi Amin. In Uganda, he was exiled. I forget where he was exiled in. But a lot of leaders become exiled into other countries, fleeing. When you have a resistance group rising up, and you know if they get you and catch you, they're going to kill you. They either going to hang you, they're going to execute you. They're going to make an example out of you. So what? They flee. And then when everything's smoothed out, and then the ones that took the country over, now another rebellion have taken place. Now this leader's being put to death, so now they come back from exile. See, so that happens a lot. That happened back in Israelite history. Okay, that happened a lot. So that happened, what we read now. With Hadad, went into exile. He fled into Egypt. Okay, read on. Or it said he was a little child, so somebody had to take him into Egypt. So some of the Edomites, I guess some of the princes or the hierarchy of Edom took him and fled. Okay, read on.
Verse 18. And they arose out of Midian and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt, unto Pharaoh king of Egypt. So
he's building this army now. So his scripture say he rose out of Midian, came to Paran, and he took men with them out of Paran, and he came to Egypt unto the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Go ahead.
Which gave him an house and appointed victuals, and gave him land.
And gave him land, but no, he want his inherit land that the Israelites took. Because that's written down in history. So now you have to get your name cleared now. Okay, you're that last living male to inherit. You got to go back and clean your name up. You got to go back and reconquer that area. You got to go back and get them resources. You got to go back and get the minerals. You got to go back and get that land. Okay, read on.
Verse 19. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, that he
so that
he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife.
He even gave Hadad the Edomite his wife's sister. See? Go ahead. To wife. Go ahead.
The sister of Tahpenes, the queen.
Go ahead.
And the sister of Tahpenes bare him Genubath.
Go ahead.
His son, whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house. And Genubath was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh.
Okay, he was as one of the sons of Pharaoh, the Edomite. See that? So that's similar how Moses was brought up amongst one of the Pharaoh's sons. You see that? Go ahead.
Verse 21. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers.
See that when Hadad heard that David was dead, the old mighty warrior King David is gone. Read on.
And that Joab, the captain of the host, was dead.
See, when Joab, the mighty warrior that took 6 months to kill all the males and to take that land, you know, these fearless men is dead, so now it's time to get busy now. Read on.
Hadad said to Pharaoh, "Let me depart, that I may go to my own country."
So while King David was living, while Joab was living, and I want to put the rest of Joab brothers in there, the rest of the warriors, Abishai, Uzziel, David had the Kerethites, he had the Belithites, which were bodyguards. I think Solomon had some of them too. But when Solomon messed up, all that left him. Okay, the Most High put the spirit on the men to leave him. See, sometimes you can do things, you know, you wondering why this and that. The Most High will put the spirit on people to start separating from you. Then I think you'll get the message then. Okay, so this is like a disrespect here. Well, I want to attack Solomon now. I know David is not there, Joab is not there. Let me go and get, you know, because Solomon's all about peace. He got every woman from all these nations, you know, married every woman, Edom, Egyptian, everybody. He's cool with everybody. Okay, so let me rise up now. But there was that spirit of the Most High that sprinkled, that spread throughout when Solomon messed up. So now that spirit is opening up all the rebels now. It's opening up all the has-beens. All the lands that they took, all Solomon had to do was continue to do what the Most High had him on the track doing. And then keep these lands and keep the minerals, the resources of these lands. Okay, you got their wives. Okay, you got your wives from these different nations. Okay, cool. But now you got to bow down to the gods. See, to their gods. So now the Most High has sprinkled this spirit throughout the different nations now. Now the sons of these leaders that David and Joab had put to death to take their land, their sons are waking up now. What? Solomon, what? Let me build this army and let me go back and take my resources. Let me go back and take my land. Okay, that was it, that I inherited from my fathers, my ancestors. If you go down south, there are family members, different family members like neighbors. You got a house here, and about 2 miles you got another house. Sometimes they at war, and the war is over land. It's over land, cattle, and all that, man. You go deep down south, they're battling over land, and they traced it all the way back from the inheritance. No, my great-great-grandfather had those. No, my great-great-grandfather. Yeah, it's land, man. And the importance in these last days to us is going to be what? Land. It's going to be livestock. It's going to be growing your own in these last days. It's always been about land. Always been about the minerals, resources. Always, man. But now we in this concrete jungle called the cities, going out to our enemies. Got stores all on the corner. You know, we got to buy from the stores. Yeah, from our enemies. See, but you got, like in Chicago, when I was growing up, there were gangs in Chicago. You had the Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, Blackstone Rangers, L. Rubens, and other gangs. And you had some of those gangs when the enemy, like Arabs or what have you, come and set up their stores, you from a different nation, the gang would go to that store and say, hey, you got to put some of our people that live in this neighborhood, you got to give them a position in your store. If not, you can't set up here. See, that's how it was back then. You know, because it always been about territory. Always. Now, I got a friend of mine down south, right? he lives in Mississippi, and I believe it's his wife inherit some land from her family. So they got a nice big house, and houses are far, far away from their house. So they got land. So I called him up. I said, yo man, next time I'm down in Memphis, come and get me, man, and take me to your land.
Right.
And I want to kind of go in with you to get chickens and so forth, plant some garden and stuff, grow some food, get some animals. And he said, oh, bro, man, I was trying to get away from all that. I mean, we had all that when we got the land, man. I'm trying to. I said, what? You got rid of all the livestock, man. He said, yeah, man, it made me feel like I'm living way back. I said, that's how you want to live, brother. And then he started thinking. He said, you right. I said, man. And he had the animals that his wife inherited. He had the chickens and all that. Got rid of it because it reminded him like he's living off the land, and now you got to put work in. It's like back in the olden days, as they call it. But that's what you want. You want to go back to the olden days, to the ancient of days. You want to grow your food. You want to pick your tomatoes. You want to have your chicken laying them brown eggs. And I remember my grandmother had chicken coops. Go down and chicken lay eggs. You got chicken, you got eggs. Okay, but she didn't have no cows or nothing, but you got your chickens, you got eggs. And I remember when my mother used to take chickens, wring their neck off, just like the scriptures say, wring the neck. She didn't have to cut, she didn't have to shoot, she didn't have to do none of that. She just wring the neck, the chicken running with no neck, blood shooting everywhere, and she cleaning the chicken, and we had chicken sandwich for school the next day. Fresh, what you call kosher chicken. Blood out, chicken clean and everything. Those are the days of old, how you should live, man. But through our captivity, we didn't got caught up in this concrete jungle that our minds, we spending money in restaurants, and that's why we getting all sick and beat down. Because we're not living off the land like we should be. I mean, you got Israelite communities that's living off the land. Got the animals. Some the Israelite community got lakes where they do their own fishing. And that's all praise to the Most High. Yeah, I just wish my family on my daddy's side would have kept their land that he got. He took advantage of the 40 acres and the mule, and he was in the molasses business. The white man was, shortchanging, but he still had things going on as a black man in that time. But the family, when he passed, his 12 kids, the family sold the land. And they ended up in the projects and all that. Sold the land for a certain amount of money. But they could have kept that land, and my mother's side, they kept their inheritance, they kept their land. They have the lakes, horseback riding, they have their own burial ground. Wherever her people is at in this country, when they pass, they ship them back to that land, and they bury them on that land. Yeah, I think you got Israelite communities that's doing that too. They have a burial ground on their land. You do what you want to do, that's your land, man. It's like when we do tabernacles, and we have them tents and camping out, spending a couple nights out there. You're going to get that experience if you hadn't already got it from the previous tabernacles. Okay, so let's jump back into the scripture. That's enough of me talking. Read the 18th verse again.
Reading verse 18. And they arose out of Midian and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, which gave him an house and appointed him victuals and gave him land.
Continue.
Verse 19. And Hadad found great favor.
We're going all the way to the 24th verse.
Come. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes, the queen.
I'll tell you what, we've read that. Read the 22nd verse.
Verse 22. Then Pharaoh said unto him, But what hast thou lacked with me, that behold, thou seekest to go to thine own country?
See, it wasn't, I mean, the truth, it wasn't that he liked anything with the Pharaoh. This is something that he had to do,
Right.
okay, to get that reputation back, to get that dignity back. I have to go back and try to get the resources of my father, that land back, because it was taken from me.
Right.
I have to go. You see, that's his mindset, and that's all our mindsets as men. You take something from me, I want it back.
Right.
You take my block, yeah, okay. It may take a couple of years. I'm coming back.
Right.
You know, when my man go to jail, you know, I'm coming back, or he get killed. I'm coming back and try to get that block. Go ahead.
And he answered nothing, howbeit, let me go in any wise.
Come on.
Verse 23. And the Most High stirred him up, another adversary.
Now, who did it?
The Most High stirred him up.
So you see what's going on, right? Because of what Solomon did. So, like I said, the Most High is pushing that this type of spirit out there to these different nations. Go ahead.
Slacken. And Pharaoh,
The 23rd verse.
23rd. And the Most High stirred him up, another adversary, Rezon, the son of Eliad, which fled from the Lord Hadazar, king of Zobah.
Come on.
And he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a band. And when David slew them in Zobah.
Do you hear that? David's name keep coming up. Joab's name keep coming up. All these guys are rising up, getting an army, getting ready to attack Solomon. Because of what? Because of what David did. David slew. What Joab did, Joab slew. Joab took this.
Right.
So they want that back.
Right.
See, nations don't forget.
Right.
So why should we forget? I mean, we the only people that forget every damn thing.
Right.
Ah, that was back then. Yeah, but we reading during the time of Solomon. That was back then.
Right.
We reading about, we were speaking about Afghanistan. This was all the way back when the Tang Dynasty back in the 1800s. So now it's 2021 now, right? They still trying to go into Afghanistan.
Right.
And Afghanistan still blowing them up out of there. So yes, it's not cool to forget. Always remember. Remember the Amalekites. The Most High said, I remember what they done. And I know you niggas will forget, but I remember. See, that's what the Most High said. I remember. Come on.
Verse 24 again. And he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a band, when David slew them in Zobah. And they went to Damascus, and dwelt therein, and reigned in Damascus.
Come on, 25.
And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon.
See, all the days of Solomon, he was an enemy to Israel. See, when you reading the histories, when you're reading these stories in the Kings, Chronicles, when you're reading about warfare, and when you're reading about different kings, always remember the reasons why these things happen. So it's not just war. Even today, it's not just war. It's a reason for these things, man. It's about resources. Okay, you got oil, you got pipelines involved with this thing. You got opium, you got hashish, you got heroin involved with these things, man.
Right.
Okay, you got minerals. Okay, where they need certain minerals to make weapons and so forth. You need certain drugs for pills, medical world and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, you need the energy, the gas. You need the oil. Okay, you know those plastic cups that we drink out of, like this plastic cup,
Right.
that come from oil. Yeah, they come from oil. A lot of things that you wouldn't know it comes from oil, man. A lot of stuff, man.
Right.
So it's very important to all nations, not just America. So they're trying to go get it.
Right.
Because who controls that area or whose influence is around in Afghanistan, then they have a little power. They have power in this earth. Okay, so read that 25th verse.
Verse 25. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon.
Mm-hmm.
And beside the mischief that Hadad did, and he abhorred Israel and reigned over Syria.
Now read the 26th verse.
Verse 26. And Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zerad,
Right. It's Zerada.
Zerada, Solomon's servant,
Come on.
whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widowed woman. Even he lifted up his hand against the king.
Now, this is Solomon's servant. This Israelites. See, this is when the kingdom begin to break down. This is when the kingdom began to split between Jeroboam and Solomon and Rehoboam. Okay, that's the beginning of it, and it was from what Solomon did. Okay, so now let's jump back a little bit. You know, we spoke about the pipeline. You got a lot of them soldiers over there dying over the pipeline to be instituted to run through Afghanistan, Pakistan, and so forth. We're gonna get into that. It's a 90% of the world's heroin flows out of Afghanistan. 90%. So when you see your brothers out there, all up in Philly, New York, everywhere, when they're in there nodding, where it's coming from? Afghanistan. And it also say 250 billion. It generates 250 billion. It say that it ends up with or to the CIA and the Likud party or the Likud party, Likud political party, which is where it would end up in the CIA, which is America, and the Likud political party, the Likud political party, it ends up in their pockets. So where are they located? In Israel. Yeah. See. See, because America's gonna stay with Israel. They, like I say, their works is in the dark.
Right.
They are dealing directly with Satan, wickedness, man. All governments, all political rulers, wickedness. Yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, that's why in Revelation, I believe 16, when it speaks about them three frogs, that they are demonic forces going out to the kings of the world. I mean, you got demonic forces that's been going out to the kings of the world to do all this work. It's a 90% of the world's heroin flows out of Afghanistan, generate 250 billion that ends up, some of it to who? The CIA and the Likud party, Likud political party, which is in Israel. Ain't that something? And in 1998, the UNICAL signed a deal with the Taliban to build a 890-mile natural gas pipeline from Turkmenistan to Pakistan. But this plan was stopped because of their civil war. Okay, and plus when Afghanistan bombed the American embassy in Africa, it kind of slowed that down too. Okay, and let me read a little bit more. It's the UNICAL informed the Department of Energy that the gas pipeline would not proceed until an internationally recognized government was in place in Afghanistan. It's talking about the Taliban. Right. So that's what they're talking about now, right? Right. For the Taliban to be recognized as a government. That's part of the plan. Right. For the pipeline, for the negotiations of that pipeline to go through Afghanistan. The negotiations is for Taliban to be recognized as a legitimate throughout the international level, right, as a government. See, because they're not recognized. See, even from 1996, they weren't recognized as a legitimate government. So, but now they are trying to get them on an international recognized level.
Right.
And that pipeline is part of that deal. See? Right. So it also reads from 1996 to September 2001, the Taliban ruled isolated from the international community. So they was never recognized as a government international.
Right.
So that's what they are trying, like this oil company, Unical. That's what they are pushing for. These different oil companies and so forth, you know.
Right.
Right. Now, there's a pipeline project called TAPI, or TAPI, T-A-P-I, which it represents Turkmenistan, which is the T, Afghanistan, which is the A, Pakistan, which is the P, and India, which is the I. Okay, TAPI, or TAPI. It's an economic project. Now, Unical, remember, Unical had informed the Department of Energy that the gas pipeline would not proceed until an internationally recognized government was placed in Afghanistan. So the Unical is an oil company in California. See, show you that everybody got their hands in this wicked thing, man. See, so now we read on. It said the TAPI, which is Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, it was first proposed between Turkmenistan and Pakistan for a pipeline that cut across Afghanistan. And it said the Taliban was in power at that time, but the negation was delayed due to the political instability in the country. Then the invasion in 2001, it was delayed again when America went in 2001, after the 9/11. Okay, so it also say in 1998, Dick Cheney, y'all heard of Dick Cheney? Dick Cheney, he was then the CEO of the Halliburton, which is an oil company, which is a major U.S. oil service company, and it's in many countries. It said over about 70 countries, the Halliburton. And Dick Cheney, the CEO, it say that this company wanted to build this pipeline that run through Afghanistan, but there was a meeting in Texas that this company invited the Taliban, who was given VIP and all that, man. Put the grill out, barbecuing, sipping on wine, living in the nice hotels and all that. Flew them into Texas and met concerning this pipeline.
Right.
This oil company from over here flew them in and wined and dined them. So that's when America wants something. They VIP'd them.
Right.
Anytime America gonna VIP you, okay, they want something, right? Okay, so it said when the pipeline, okay, that's something else. It's a Unical flew senior Taliban members to Texas in 1997. It said it was an attempt to come to an agreement in 1998. No, it was an attempt to come to an agreement about that pipeline. But you know, in 1998, the 2 U.S. embassies was bombed in Africa, so that stopped the negotiation. And then the 9/11, that kind of put stops on it. So let's get a few more scriptures, then we're going to close. Let's go to Revelation, the 14th chapter and the 6th verse. Revelation, the 14th chapter, and let's start from the 6th verse.
Read for the book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 6.
Come on.
And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Okay,
so this angel here is proclaiming the everlasting gospel, which is this book, this Bible. And what message that's being given is the restoration of the true worship of the Most High, to restore the true worship, because it's no true worship of the Most High in this earth unless is being pushed by the true servants of the Most High. That's going to teach this word true and uncut. You got a lot of people teaching about prophecies, a lot of people teaching about the history, but a lot of them is not saying who the Israelites are.
Right.
They're not going back into the captivities. They're not going back into the slavery,
Right.
and then show why how the Negroes and the other tribes are the people.
Right.
You got a lot of people teaching, but they're not hitting on this topic. So you got to be 100, okay? And it say judgment has arrived. So this angel is proclaiming this everlasting gospel, showing the world that look, judgment is near, and it's time to restore the true worship of the Most High. So is there an actual angel? There it said the angel preach unto them that dwell on earth. So an angel is actually going to come to earth and teach that. So this angel is symbolic
Right.
of the people of the Most High.
Right.
Is going to teach this word. And this word is being, I mean, from the internet, man, this word is, like I told you about the Netherlands,
Right.
about these different countries that's,
Right.
that you read in the comments, and,
Right.
and you know, you reading, the brother spoke about Uganda and so forth,
Right.
over in Africa and in different parts of the world, India.
Right.
So this word is getting out by the internet,
Right.
you know, or the social media.
Right.
So, I mean, you go to some of these congregations that learned from the internet, and you watch, you say, man, it seems like y'all been up for about 2-3 years. When did y'all get started? When we learned from the internet? Yeah. So that's how this word getting out.
Right.
So the angel is a symbolic of the Most High's people. So it would have to be the Most High's people that he set up in the earth to teach this word uncut. You have to go into who the Israelites are. You will have to go into who the salvation is for. You would have to go into what tribe Christ came out of. If you out there saying that he's all colors, then you're not teaching it 100%.
Right. Right.
If you're saying, well, he didn't come out of tribe, you're not teaching 100%.
Right.
So the only people that I know that's teaching it like that, that I have heard, is Israelites.
Right. Right.
And it started all the way back. You had the slaves of Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser. And then from there, William Crowdy, whose parents were slaves. Okay, he was teaching in the streets in the 1800s. Then you build it, you break it on down. So if he was out there, there were others that was out there that we don't know about. Okay, and his congregation and followers is still in existence today. And then you had Rabbi Matthews, you had Abba Bivens, Rabbi Bivens. Then you had then Mashar, Ariyah, then the seven, the other brothers, which I look at that era came the spirit of revolutionary, of revolution, the radicalism, the real militancy. That's when that came about. Okay, because when you hitting the highways and the byways, when you're going to the Catholic Church, videotaping, asking people questions, and then denouncing the works of their church. When you're going to 47th and 50th Street to the big Christmas tree, and then you breaking all the souls of them young kids, them young whites crying, oh, it ain't no Christmas this year. Oh, hell no. Never was. You know, Santa's, no, he never was one. You know, so, you know, when you're all in 34th Street, when you're all over, then it expanded to Philly, California. It went all over in the main strips, the highways and the byways. Okay, and at that time, it was very revolutionary. It was very militant. It was very radical at that time. Okay, so that's the height of the radicalism. That's why when you see camps out there now, if they got that sign, about 99% of the time they got it. They either somebody taught it to them or they got it off the internet, and it came back from 125, 125th Street.
Right.
Or when you teach in such like a militancy or radicalism, came from 125. That's where it came from. Even if you're trying to water it down.
Right.
I mean, all camps and schools out there, got a little one where it's in them.
Right.
Even though you try to get away from it, it's in you.
Right.
Yeah, one way or another, it's in you. Okay, so I just give you a little history on where all that radicalism. Well, I was told that Bibbins had that when he was teaching, but it really expanded when the 7 and then these different camps got out there, because it wasn't nothing but militancy, revolutionary out there, wasn't afraid of anything, and brothers still not afraid. Okay, so let's move from here. Read the 7th verse.
Reading from the book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 7. Saying with a loud voice, fear the Most High, and give glory to him. For the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters.
Okay, so these angels, like I say, they are symbolic. The people out there teaching, the brothers out there teaching, they're teaching the Most High's word and warning against all the originated forms of worship and beliefs, all the originated false forms of worship and belief that's based on something different than the Most High's teaching. That's why they out there. All those camps, you listen to them, they are attacking all the original unbelief, all the forms and negative beliefs of religions, okay, doctrines, and so forth, apostasy. Okay, that's why they out there. It may look strange, or it may look like these are the people, but when you read out of the Apocrypha, I think the Wisdom of Solomon, the scripture reads that when the world really see the Spirit of the Most High working in the Israelites, they're going to say, these are the people that we once had in derision. These are the people that we laughed at. Them? They the people guys that was in the street. These people? Yeah, see, the Most High going to change the game. Okay? So now it's a time of what? Investigation. That's why you out there street teaching. That's why you on the internet teaching. It's a time of investigation. It has begun. Who your allegiance is going to. It's going to be called back to your maker. Right. Your allegiance is going to be called back to the Creator. He's going to call you back to the original principles, to original institution that was given by the Most High. Let's go to Acts the 3rd chapter. We're going to get about 3 more scriptures, then we're going to close. Acts the 3rd chapter, 19 to the 21st verse.
Read from the book of Acts, chapter 3, verse 19.
Come on.
Repent ye therefore, and be converted, that your sins may be blotted out, when the times of refreshing shall come from the presence of the Most High.
That's what it's all about. Repent. Change your ways. Be converted. Stop the negative that you're doing and turn to your maker. Read on.
Verse 20. And he shall send Yahushua, which before was preached unto you, whom the heavens must receive until the times of restitution of all things, which the Most High has spoken by the mouth of all his holy prophets since the world began.
Since the world began. Let's go to Ecclesiastes in the Bible, 12th chapter, 13 and 14th verse. Ecclesiastes. 12th chapter, 13th, 14th verse.
Reading from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 14. For the Most High shall bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Start from there. Read the 13th verse.
Verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High.
You understand? You hear that? Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High. Read on.
And keep his commandments.
And keep his commandments. Read on.
For this is the whole duty of man.
That's your duty. Read on.
Verse 14. For the Most High shall bring every work into judgment.
All the work, whether it's in the dark, light, whether it's out there to be seen, the Most High is going to bring it all into judgment. Read on.
with every secret thing,
All the secret things. Read.
whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Whether it be evil, the Most High is going to manifest. Let's go to Matthew, the 12th chapter, and the 36th verse.
Reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 36.
36.
But I say unto you, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give an account thereof in the day of judgment.
Okay, so don't worry about it. Every word, every idle word that you speak, any you come up against whatever you want to come up against. Say what you want to say about the Most High. Say what you want to say about the truth. You're going to have to deal with it, answer for it face to face. Okay, let's go from there. Romans 14 and 12. This is the last scripture.
Reading from the book of Romans, chapter 14, verse 12.
Come on.
So then everyone of us shall give it slacking. So then everyone of us,
Read the 11th verse.
verse 11. For it is written, as I live, saith the Most High, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to the Most High.
You would have said, as it is written, as I live, saith the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to the Most High. And that's for real. Read on.
Verse 12. So then everyone of us shall give account of himself to the Most High.
Everyone shall give an account to himself, to the Most High. Can't nobody speak on your behalf.
Right.
Can't nobody live for you. Can't nobody die for you.
Right.
You understand? So with that, brothers and sisters, that's the end of the class. And I say shalom. That's it.
Shalom. Shalom.